Hi everyone, how are you all doing? My name is Natalie. If this is the first time that you're watching my videos, thank you so much for being here. I am a Western tropical astrologer and I use a whole sign house system for all my forecasts and readings. In this video, we are talking about this week astrology forecast. This video is quite late. I know it's midweek already. It has been a very busy weekend for me, so I just need some time to rest and recharge. And I also was so happy that I have a chance to host a private sound bath for my friends and her family. So it was a very lovely moon day, Monday, that I did that for my friends. Yes, I am an astrologer, but I am also many other things, and sound facilitator is one of the things that I do. I also do that with distant Reiki energy healing. Anyways, here we are. I still want to come up here this week because we have so much happening. We have so many aspects happening almost every single day, and this is also a great chance for us to reflect on the energies we already felt to see how they have shown up for us. So I love using astrology to predict and to give us like a heads up, like a weather forecast, to see what's to come, to see what are the energies that are coming into our life for us individually and on a collective level, so that we can have a heads up to know how to work with them, what to expect, and how can I choose to respond to those energy instead of being reactive, right? Because I know I can expect a certain few possibilities and outcomes, then I am in my power to choose how I want to respond to those energies, and how can I sometimes can use them to my benefits to help me, or when to slow down, or to know that maybe that is a day I don't want to pack with activities, I want to maybe retreat back home, and so on and so forth. And it's a great tools to also use as a reflection tool. That is one of the biggest reasons why I got into astrology in the first place, because I wanted to know why certain things happen at a certain time, and why did I experience those stuff. And when I was able to look back and reflect on, oh, okay, now I see those trends that was happening, those aspects were happening, it gave me an explanation, right, for me to reflect on, oh, okay, maybe that is why how I behave, that is why I experience certain things, and that is why I maybe reacted even to certain situation or people during those time. So this is why I love what I do, to be able to provide that big picture and also fine details when we get into our own personal charts. So yes, we have a lot, so let's dive right in. So this is about May 18 to 24 of 2026. So we have a lot. May 18, we have two personal planets moving signs, and right before this week during the weekend, Mercury changed signs. So when we have so many planets moving into the different sign, like literally almost all together, so sometimes it's also signifying a change in the air, change in the energy, perhaps in our personal life or on a collective level. We might be experiencing some big changes, or maybe a breakthrough, maybe a turning point in our life as well. Maybe certain important things might take place during this time, or maybe we feel differently about certain situation, area of our life, or certain relationship. So Mercury just switched sign, and on the 18th we have Mars and Venus moving into the next sign. So let's talk about it. First of all, we have Mars moving into Taurus at 3:25 p.m. Pacific time, or earlier time zone. It will be May 19, 6:25 a.m. Hong Kong time. So May 18, Mars will move from Aries, which is one of its home sign, to Taurus, the sign that it is in its exile. When I say that, it is because Taurus is on the opposite side of its sister sign, Scorpio. And when the planet is on the opposite side of its home sign, it is at its exile, meaning that it is the furthest away. And sometimes that also means is in its fall, because that planet is not able to express its power or its energy in its fullest form. But it doesn't mean that it is like a bad thing. It just means that we have to maneuver it in a different way. Mars in Taurus is very, very different compared to Mars in Aries, because of a sign, of course, the energy, and because of its placement. Mars in Taurus is not as reactive. It can be a good or bad thing, right? Because Mars in Aries was that go-getter, fighter energy, is always on the go. It wants to get things done yesterday. You know, it just moves. Sometimes it can be a bit rash, impatient, and impulsive. But in Taurus, it's that slow and steady, grounded energy. So it also mean that Mars will have to just take its energy down a notch. It cannot be that go-getter all the time, because that bull is going to pull its energy back a little bit, tone it down a little bit. Mars in Taurus wants to make sure that, okay, is it sure? Are we really doing this way? Let's think about it like 10 times before we actually make the move. So Mars in Taurus is a bit slower to take action. And of course, on the flip side, you know, on one hand, it's really good because you are thinking things through. You are not being too impulsive. You give yourself really, because it's a fixed earth sign, so it wants to be very sure. So maybe you plan it really well, you do your research, you want to make sure you have a sure win before you approach or you take action. But on the downside is that sometimes when you wait too much, when you delay too much, you miss that opportunity, or you just end up not doing it because you are stalling. So there can be this push and pull energy. You need to be mindful to work with it. Make sure that, yes, do your own due diligence, you know, do what you have to do, not being too rash or impulsive, but at the same time, you're not procrastinating. You're not just sitting there and not taking action, or just keep stalling. And in the end, when you are like, oh yeah, let's do it, well, it's already too late, right? So there's a balance between this energy. Mars in Taurus, Mars is also the way we not just take action, but the way we express our anger is also our aggression, right? And sometimes Mars in Taurus can store and suppress its energy, its emotion, its anger. And yes, in some way it's more calm, right? You're calmer, you are less reactive, you want to be more grounded instead of just like fighting with everyone and just like saying things without thinking through. But Mars in Taurus, oh boy, you do not want to piss them off, okay? Because they can just pretend nothing is happening, they can suppress their anger, but when they can no longer hold it, when they finally let it out and express themselves, let you know how they truly feel, it can, just like a bull, just kill somebody. Well, metaphorically. So you do want to be mindful with the way you work with your emotions and your anger, right? Make sure that you have healthy outlets, that you don't suppress too much, that you actually explode, and that can backfire. That can hurt not just yourself, but people around you. Well, how do we maintain that balance? Is about being less reactive and calmer, but also make sure that you're not suppressing yourself and being explosive when you can actually solve things in a different way. And Mars will stay in Taurus until June 28th. The next planet is Venus. Venus is also moving sign on the same day on the 18th. So on the 18th, some of us might feel a very big shift in some way, shape, or form. So also take a look and see which house is ruled by Taurus. That is where Mars is moving in. And where is Cancer? Because Venus is entering Cancer on 18:06:05 p.m. Pacific time, or earlier time zones, May 19, 9:05 a.m. Hong Kong time. So Venus entering Cancer and leaving Gemini behind. This is also a very big energy shift, because Venus in Gemini is that very lighthearted, playful energy, flirty energy, you know, it's very social. It's about, you know, getting to know each other, getting to know some new friends, networking, but sometimes can be a little bit of a busy bee energy, you know, not really into that deep conversation, but more of a service level. I just want to get to know you and know them, know him, know her, and let's just all be friends, and we don't need to be so serious, so deep just yet. But, you know, it's nice to know everybody kind of energy, right? It's very chatty, it's playful. Venus in Cancer, very different. Venus in Cancer is that nurturing, nourishing, and protective energy, right? It's all about taking care of people that you love, right? People that you want to nourish, you want to take care, that you're in community with, right? Cancer is very much about the home body, right? It wants to feel safe safe and secure with people that they are with. So Venus in Cancer is about who do you want to be with that make you feel safe and secure to be yourself and be with them, right? This is about how can we take care of each other? How can we do things that nourish and nurture each other? Maybe this is about, let me clean your home for you. Let me make your home nicer for you. Let me cook a meal for you. Let me take care of you, right? This is about having that mama bear energy too. Let me protect you. But on the downside, this can also be suffocating sometimes, right? If you don't find the right balance, sometimes it can be suffocating, right? It can be overprotective, like, oh my God, like, can you just like, let me breathe? Or this can also be that passive aggressive energy. So we need to, again, find that balance, because all transit signs and aspect, they have all light and shadow attribute. The magic is knowing both and know what is happening, what is coming, and know how to work with them and find that balance and use them to that benefit, right? If you are someone that's lacking a bit more on the other side, you can balance it out by having a bit more on the other spectrum as well, right? And governed by the moon, Venus in Cancer can be moody. That's why I mentioned that passive aggressive. During Venus in Cancer, we might feel like that with people that we are in relationship with. And it's not just romantic. This is everyone that you are in one-on-one relationship with. And this can be your family, especially because Cancer often relate to our home environment. And this is also a transit where you might find yourself wanting to be more of a homebody. During Venus in Cancer, you want to maybe stay home a little bit more. You want to just be a homebody, or you want to maybe host a potluck, you know, have a PJ party. Let's just bring food over to my home and let's just chill. Let's just have a night in. Let's relax, or let's cook a meal together. You know, it can be really fun. Or let's just go to each other homes and, you know, have relaxing hangout section and so on and so forth. And one thing I want to talk about is that once Venus enters Cancer, it is going to inch towards and getting closer and closer to that Jupiter conjunction, right? That is probably the best aspect in 2026. You do not want to miss it. And from now until early June, especially around June 9th, that is the exact conjunction of the two benefics, Jupiter and Venus in Cancer. And they're both exalted. They both do well in the sign of Cancer. That is why so many astrologers talks about it. You want to put a date, circle that date in your calendar right now, June 9th, but also June 8th and June 10th, because that's when the energy is still very much heightened and be felt. But I would say this week onwards, you can start to feel that energy building up little by little by little. And especially during when we approach June, you know, that first week of June is when we really feel that conjunction energy really building up, you know. And it also depends which house is ruled by Cancer in your house, and if you have any planets or point aspecting the Cancer house, or if you have any planets in the sign of Cancer as well, right? So this is about the two greater benefics, Venus and Jupiter, both yummy abundance, lovely energy, and they both do well in Cancer. And it only happened once every 12 years if we're lucky, because sometimes they don't come to the exact conjunction during that time. So yeah, only once in every 12 years. You do not want to miss it. But we will definitely continue to talk about that. I will remind you as we get closer, but I want to bring it up because right after Venus enter Cancer, this is officially that energy of that conjunction is officially in the air. Next, we have Mercury in Gemini, sextile Neptune in Aries at 3 degrees. This is happening really late on May 18th, so you're probably gonna feel this aspect more on the 19th. So this is about creative, inspirational, and dreamy conversations, right? Mercury and Neptune come together with a sextile. You might find yourself feeling creative, feeling inspired to create art, poetry, music, anything creative, right? And it might be a great time to share your dreams, share your idea, do some writing, creating, journaling. This is also to how to say, this is not like super serious and logical conversation, because we're talking about Neptune. Okay, this is not about let's sign this contract, let's make this official, or try to find some kind of logical answer clarity, but this is more of supportive when you do creative stuff, like when you share your ideas, when you get creative, you daydream and talk about your fantasies, your dreams a little bit. This is also the day on May 18th. The aspect of Venus sextile Mars come to the exact position at 0 degrees, right? Venus in Cancer, Mars in Taurus, they both enter new signs and they have this sextile with each other at 0 degrees. And this is happening during the new moon in Taurus a couple days ago, and this exact sextile is today on the 18th. So the energy of Venus and Mars are actually quite different. They're quite the opposite. When they come together, when they form an aspect, sometimes it can be actually quite tough. I know, because some people, or even some astrologers, whenever they talk about Venus and Mars, they refer it to be, oh my god, this is all about love, this is like very good, but actually not all the time. When Venus and Mars comes together, especially when they form a harder aspect, a tougher aspect, like an opposition, a square, sometimes conjunction too, can be volatile. But when they form a sextile, this can be the two opposite energy balancing each off, the give and take, right? The passion and the solitude, the conflicts, the wars, but also the peace and the harmony, right? So this can be a day where you just simply finding yourself enjoying the people that you are with, or you can find yourself creative as well, right? Because Venus talks about creativity as well, and Mars is that action-seeking energy. May 19th, we have two aspects with Mercury. First, we have Mercury in Gemini squaring North Node in Pisces at 4 degrees. This can feel like a fated conversation. This can feel like a certain conversation or an idea or meeting with someone can bring in a turning point, a breakthrough, or a crisis point, right? You might find yourself needing to make a important decision, right? And take a look and see your Gemini and Pisces house. This might be themes and topics relate to those houses again. The next aspect Mercury is forming is a trine with Pluto retrograding in Aquarius at 5 degrees. So this, on one hand, Mercury, Pluto can be obsessive about certain thoughts in your head, right? That you just can't stop thinking about certain things, right? You just get very obsessed with an idea, right? Maybe this is a rabbit hole, you know, you just cannot let go of this topic. You just deep dive into it, which can be great if you're doing research work, right? This trine is a supportive energy. On another hand, this can be a very deep, cathartic, healing conversation, because this is about Mercury in Gemini. It's all about the minds, the thought, the expression. Pluto in Aquarius, both air sign. This is very flowy, airy energy, and it's a trine, so it's very well received. So this can be a day where you're just simply having a very deep healing conversation. It's very mentally stimulating, or it might even help to deepen a connection, a relationship, or a relationship within yourself, right? By having this deep cathartic conversation, right, with someone or just within yourself. May 20th, which is also the day that I am recording and uploading this video, we are welcoming a new season. The sun is entering Gemini today, May 20th at 5:36 p.m. Pacific time, or May 21st in earlier time zones, 8:36 a.m. Hong Kong time. So Gemini season, very different compared to Taurus. It's not slow and steady, grounded anymore. It's that very uplift, light, playful energy, chatty energy with Gemini season. And this one is a big one, right? Because this Gemini season, we have Uranus in Gemini in the mix. So in my own opinion, from this year onwards, and the next, I would say, 2032, maybe 36 too, maybe 33 too, I'm not sure. But so this one and the next 6 Gemini season is probably going to be a little bit extra, maybe a lot extra. We have to see. With Uranus and Gemini in the mix, there's this wild card. You just never know what you're gonna see, what you're gonna get during Gemini season because of Uranus, right? So this is definitely going to need us to fasten our seatbelt a little bit. That wild card energy is pretty much in the air. Anyway, but in general, the energy definitely is very different when we shift shift from the slow, steady, grounded Taurus fixed earth sign to that light, fast, airy, mutable air sign Gemini. Ruled by Mercury, Gemini season is a bit more social. You might find yourself being more sociable. You might be out and about. You wanting to go out a little bit more, perhaps. You want to catch up with your friends. Maybe you're like, oh, I haven't talked to that person in a while. Let's check in with them. Let me message that person. Let me call this person. Oh, it's time to go out for a coffee maybe. There's so many things I want to do. You find yourself overstimulating. There might be multiple tabs opening on your screen, on your computer screen, and in your mind. You're like doing so many things. Maybe you're filling up your social calendar. Oh my God, my week's already full. When is my next available time? Next month maybe, right? You find yourself very busy suddenly. You might become a social butterfly. It can be a very helpful energy if you are on the other end of the spectrum, right? If you are very introverted, you're very shy, you're very quiet, this Gemini energy can maybe uplift and push you out of your comfort zone a little bit, and maybe in a good way, right? To allow yourself to open up a little bit more, right? But for some people, not all of us work well with this energy because we're all so different, right? So Gemini season can also be very stressful for some of us. It can be very overstimulating, right? And especially with Uranus in the mix, and another aspect that we'll be talk about very soon, which is the Sun-Uranus conjunction. But this can also feel very overwhelming, right? You're feeling overstimulated, you're stressed, you're anxious, you're overwhelmed basically. So make sure you have your grounding tools with you. Make sure you're not always in front of the screen, that you're not always on the go, right? You need to make time, carve out time to just maybe shut off everything and just, read a book. Very Gemini, right? It's also reading, but maybe carve out time to take time off the screen, right? So you're not always stimulating yourself with all these things that is happening. Maybe this is about slowing down, taking long deep breath whenever you find yourself starting to spiral as well. But this can be a great transit to be social, to go out, to enjoy the season. Well, I'm living in the northern hemisphere, so summer's approaching. We are, at the height of our springtime. So go out, enjoy the sun, go get a coffee, hang out with your friend, but don't overwhelm yourself too much. May 21st. But this is happening quite late on May 21st. So you are probably feeling this aspect on May 22nd as well. We have Venus in Cancer squaring Neptune in Aries at 3 degrees. So this is the Lulu energy. Venus square Neptune is that heart eye emoji. Is that wearing rose tinted glasses energy that you might find yourself, some of us, not all, right? Some of us might find ourselves over romanticizing someone, putting someone on a pedestal. So you need to be careful. See through the fog, the fantasy, the rose tinted glasses, or even red flag for some, for some of us, about certain situation or relationship. Especially, I would say, if you are going on a first date, if you're just meeting, getting to know someone, you're still very fresh into that connection. There might be a big chance that you're not going to see the red flag. So you need to make sure that you see clearly and don't jump to conclusion right away. Maybe give it a few days. Maybe don't jump to conclusion so fast, right? Maybe give it a couple of days and come back to it, right? But this is definitely a day where you can feel very dreamy. You can be having a great date. You are just being creative. It's great for daydreaming, creative endeavors. You might even feel inspired with this Venus Neptune square. But definitely slow the horses when you find yourself putting people on pedestal and not seeing clearly. Something that I don't always mention, and I would actually like to start to include in my astrology weekly podcast, is that whenever we have a longer and extensive period of void of course moon period, I want to include and let you know. So for those who don't know what it is, void of course moon is when the moon is not making any aspect with any planet. It's just the moon floating by itself, wandering around in the space by itself. This happens actually quite often, but sometimes we will get an extensive long period of time. That doesn't mean like it's a good or bad thing. It just means that there's an extra long period of time that the moon is not making any aspect with any planets, right? And it is happening on May 22nd. More like May 21st, but it's happening for 32 hours, 52 minutes, from May 21st, 3:05 a.m. So it doesn't end until like May 23rd, a little bit after the midnight. So that's why I want to mention it, because it goes on for more than a day. It's essentially a day and a half. So what it means is, during voice of course moon, there are some things that you like to use this aspect to do and not do. So when the moon is not making any aspect, and when you want to elect a day to do certain things or ritual, you actually don't want to do that, except you want to do something that you don't want people to respond to it, right? If you want to do something okay, this is gonna sound pretty bad. If you want to do something shady and you don't want to experience any backlash, you want to do it during the voice of course moon, because there's a chance that nobody is going to say something about it, right? It's less of a blow for people to react to what you do or say or whatnot. So that is why it is quite common to see different governments and institutions, the system, I swear some of them definitely, or maybe if not all of them, use astrologers. They love passing bills or laws or whatnot, that they don't want to experience any backlash during void of course moon. So if you want to do something and you don't want a backlash, yeah, do it during those times. But let's say if you want to debut a course, you want to I don't know, do a post and get viral, you want to say something important, you want to start something, you know, start a creative project or business, you want to, you know, do something important, definitely not during void of course moon. So this is your hint not to do anything. But what is it good for, right? Like what I said, it's good for those stuff, right? But what it is good for is simply resting. Void of course moon is kind of like the universe message to us. Hey, this is a time for you to slow down, not do so much, relax, recharge, rest, be a homebody, you know, maybe catch up with your sleep. You have been very busy. It's time to maybe just spend some time, you know, tone it down. I know it's really hard when many of us have, you know, like job every day, you know, have different obligations in life. But during void of course moon, if you can, if it's possible, it's a time where you want to slow down, maybe stay home. You know, it's time for you to, oh my god, I've been so busy, I don't even have time to do any home chores, right? The dishes piled up. So maybe this is a day where you stay home and wash those dishes, right? Replenish your fridge or rest. May 22nd, we have Sun conjunct Uranus in Gemini at 1 degree. So just a little before, when I welcome our Gemini season on the 20th, I already say that after the Sun entered Gemini, is you know, for the next like 6-7 years, we're going to have Uranus in Gemini as well. So this is what we're having every year for the next 6-7 years as well. Sun conjuncting Uranus. This is expect the unexpected, right? We will have this conjunction once every Gemini season until 2033. In some way, this is the first conjunction. This can set the tone of how this Uranus and Gemini journey is going to be for us, all of us, individually, collectively, for the next few years. So we can definitely see, let's just see what is happening around the world, because this might kind of paint the big picture energy for all of us. And I've been watching some headlines and news surrounding US, China, Russia, you know, because that orange man went to China and visit Xi Jinping, and I think they are having some talks. I think Russia is in the mix, and who knows what is going to come up, but this is definitely that energy in the air. We will never know, right? Expect the unexpected. Let's see how all those talk and conversation continue to unfold this week, the next couple of days, and see. But generally expect the unexpected. We can never prepare when we talk about Uranus, right? It's all about predicting, seeing what's to come. But when it comes to Uranus, we can never exactly know what to come, right? So we will just need to remind ourselves to be flexible and adaptable. I know it's not very easy, especially fixed signs. Hello, I'm a fixed sign too. I have fixed sign placement a lot. So I know that feeling. But this can be electrifying, exciting, and surprising. And yes, of course, this can also be jaw-dropping and kind of WTF energy. But this is what you have when you have Uranus, right? But some of us might feel extra impulsive and being rash and irrational. So you do want to be mindful, right? Now that you know, I told you. So you can try to balance this energy out. And it's quite funny, similar to the Chinese culture, the Bazi, I think it's Chinese astrology, right? When it comes to that, when we see something that is a little bit unexpected, a bit wild, we want to do something to counter that energy, right? So to say that we can soften the blow a little bit, right? And in Cantonese is fa gai. So we want to when we see some kind of hard aspect, when we see some wildcard, unpredictable energy, we want to see what we can do in our life to kind of soften that energy a little bit for us. And if you want to, on this date, in order to counteract with that unexpected wildcard energy, is to do something unexpected yourself, right? Well, not to an extreme, but let's say, for example, you can try something new. For example, just an example, right? I've never had an espresso macchiato, right? What is that? I'm going to treat myself to one and find out today, right? This is about moving that energy, doing something different, doing something new, trying something new to kind of counteract that energy. On a collective level, this wildcard energy can definitely be unexpected news, headlines, surprising, jaw-dropping news. I'm definitely expect there will be some. I mean, we're not sure of that lately, and we might see some surprise or sudden strike, right? That might be that. Many important, I don't want to say that they're important, but they are important people have Uranus and Gemini, right? That orange man is not real, right? Each country has their own natal chart. It's not real, and US both have Uranus and Gemini in their Sibley chart, right? It's not real leader, Benjamin. They all have Uranus and Gemini. So of course, I will not be surprised if they do something rash. I mean, they already have done it so many times. It's Gemini season. They are being activated in some way, right? That orange man has Sun in your Gemini. So, and he's also experiencing his Uranus return. So God knows what he is going to do, say. But yeah, for yourself, check out which house is ruled by Gemini. That is the wildcard energy is going to be. 22nd, we also have Mercury in Gemini, sextile Saturn in Aries at 11 degrees. So this can be a serious conversation that is helpful and supportive. This can be, hey, let's talk, let's fix it, right? Because Saturn wants to build something. Saturn wants to strengthen something. Saturn wants something to grow in the long run. And Mercury in Gemini is conversation. So maybe perhaps this is having a conversation to mend a situation, mend a relationship, to strengthen a relationship, right? If you have a fight with someone, today is the day where maybe you want to make peace and have that constructive conversation to move through things, right? To fix something. This can be a great work conversation too, right? At work, or if you're working in school, or this can be a conversation around work with colleagues, with your boss, or people that you work with in order to achieve something together as well. Oh my god, this video is so long. I know we have so many things happening. One more, I swear, last thing. And it's kind of like I saved the best to the last kind of thing. On 24th, Sunday, we have Sun in Gemini, sextile Neptune in Aries at 3 degrees. We have a crazy week with all this movement, aspect, transit happening. Sun sextile Neptune is a day to relax, right? And Sun often refers to our ego, our vital energy, right? Having a sextile with Neptune can be feeling the softening of the ego, right? We can feel a bit more empathic today. We want to feel something larger than us. We want to do something larger than us, right? That Sun Neptune sextile can be I want to give back. I want to give back to the collective. I want to be involved in the humanitarian work, you know, that kind of vibe, which is so good. I love that, you know, and we need more people doing that. So this is great. This can be a day where you might find yourself wanting to join a course, to fight the good fight, right? To do something and give back. I love that. By all means, let's all go do something nice on Sunday, right? And this can also be for you personally. And sometimes Neptune refers to spirituality, divinity. So this can be a day to do some spiritual practices, divinity. Oh my God. Neptune refers to spirituality sometimes. So today is also a great day if you want to do some kind of spiritual practice, spiritual learning. This can be also creative, right? This can be a day where you want to get creative, do some art, poetry, music, write, or whatnot. This can also be a great day to do a sound bath. You know what? Sun, sextile, Neptune is a day to just relax, recharge. Even if you can't go do a sound bath, you can have a guided meditation. Ooh, that is going to be my schedule on Sunday. Go do a guided meditation. You know, nowadays we can just go on YouTube if you want to, or anywhere, and just type in something and just allow yourself to let go of everything, release, and just melt a little bit and daydream a little bit. We have a great week, and I want you to use Sunday to recharge, because guess what? Next week we have one of the crunchiest aspects in 2026, Mars square Pluto. So I want you to prepare for it. We will talk about it in the next video. So Sunday 24th, please, if you can, if it's possible, prioritize rest, do something, you know, just relaxing for yourself. Okay, and thank you so much for being here. I love every single one of you. Comment below, you know, interact, subscribe, share it. If you want a personal consultation, email me. Everything is in the description box. If you want to help support this channel, the best thing to do is just subscribe and share, like. I love doing what I do, and this platform allow me to do what I love. So I'm just so grateful to all of you, and I hope you have been having a great week. Comment below, how are all these aspects playing out? How are you feeling them? I love connecting with you, so comment below, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.